Welcome to the rainy Berkshires, where it snowed yesterday here in the middle of spring. Anyway, we are going to make a quiche today, and we're going to be using Piave cheese, which is a cheese from northern Italy, and I'm going to be using both the Mazzano and the Vecchio. I'm using a mix of those because the Mazzano, the younger one, is going to be a little bit more melty, and then the older one is going to give us a little bit more crunch. Great thing about Piave is that it doesn't matter how long it's aged; it really doesn't get super salty. So that's a nice thing. When I talk to people who know something about Piave, they often say, "Oh my God, that's one of my favorite cheeses." The other thing that, of course, goes into every quiche is eggs. So I am fortunate to live next door to Rockledge Farm, which so my friend Pam raises the chooks right there, and I get fresh eggs. Look at these beauties, right? These are fresh eggs, and this one, these two little guys right here, they're pullet eggs. How fun is that? It also, if you didn't know, eggs that have not been washed, fresh eggs that have not been washed, are actually something you can actually keep those out on the counter and for weeks at a time, because they've got a protective coating around them already, and so the only time you need to wash them is right before you're about to use them, just to take whatever ickiness is off there so it doesn't end up in your food. And then, of course, here is the Piave. Beautiful cheese. This recipe calls for about 1.5 cups. I think I'm probably a little bit heavy on that, but that's just fine with me. In order to grate those cheeses, we're going to make it. Let me tell you how to make the grating process so easy. First off, your weapons that you want for grating. Let's start with the microplane, one of my most favorite things to use. This is for, obviously for grating, and it's great because it's just a wonderful little hand tool. I use it constantly. It's one of my most used items. There's this, which is, you can put your cheese in here. Put it right in there. Boom. Great. Easy. And then, of course, everybody's favorite, the box grater. But really, let me tell you how to make grating super easy. What you do is that you get a nice big bowl, and you put the cheese in it, and the grater that you want them to use, that you're going to use, and you hand it to someone and tell them that they'll be doing the grating for you. The other thing that makes making a quiche very easy, at least for me, is I buy pre-made crusts because I'm not good at it. So in addition to the stars of the show, the cheese and the eggs, we're also going to be putting some bacon, which looks extremely unappetizing raw, but that's going to get cooked, and some green onions, which I've obviously cut up. I think you all know how to cut up green onions. And I'm also going to put some spinach in, just to give a little extra green to the whole thing. Okay? Also, I want you to know that I always have a helper in the kitchen, and he makes everything so much easier because he sits right in front of the oven and gets in the way. But he's so cute. Okay, cooking up some bacon. You know, the smell of bacon, as they say, and the smell of coffee is what gets you up in the morning, right? Also, I wanted you to just reflect for a moment on my helper, because as it turns out that if you step on, even though he's always in the way, if you step on him, he will bite you. The danger of cooking. So while the bacon's cooking up, the other piece of this quiche, heavy cream. I get mine from Highland Farm, which is here in the Berkshires. They raise Jersey cows, so Jersey cows have a particularly rich milk. Here's what we're going to do now. We've put 6 eggs and 3/4 cup of the heavy cream in a bowl and whisked it. I am now going to put some salt and pepper in. Going to go fairly light on the salt and the pepper. Actually going to go a little heavier on the pepper because, you got to do these things. And I'm going to put a little bit of the cheese directly into the into the eggs. Good Lord. Here we go. The rest of it's going to go straight onto the crust, but I like to mix them a little bit. Mix some in here too. Next up, we're going to put the slightly charred bacon into the crust and nicely overdone. So, but I subscribe to the Julia Child's theory that no matter what, you never apologize for what you do in the kitchen. All right, here we go. This is the beautiful green onions. And I'm using baby spinach, which has been a little bit washed. Really, when is there too much? When is there too much cheese? Ever? I don't really think so. And if you have any extra left over, if it's starting to be too high, which in this case won't happen, but I just want you to know that my incredibly spoiled pooch often gets his own little quiche. Crustless, of course. It's gone in the oven on a cookie sheet to make it easier to pull out, obviously, at the end, amongst other things, and in case there's any spillage. And it's going to stay at a 375 degree oven for between 35-40 minutes until the center is set, but not too set. We don't want it to get, too tough. I happen to have, to go along with this, a bottle of sparkling Garda wine, which is, again, wine from the same region, essentially, that Piave is from. And these wines, there's bubbles are for any time, anything that you're eating or whatever. I think a lot of people think that bubbles are just for celebrations, graduations, weddings, whatever. No, they are for whenever. And woohoo! We have quiche. So it's going to sit for a little bit. Think about what it's done in the oven for all this time. We'll cut it and have it for dinner with a nice big green salad. And of course, our Garda wine. Very important. Here it is. Quiche. I'm going to give you a little bit more information about Piave in case you want to run out and get some. Piave is an Italian pasteurized cheese. It's from the Veneto region, and its flavor profile comes from the limestone of the Dolomite Mountains. It's named after the Piave River, and there is only a single maker of Piave. It's named Latte Busque, and which translates to milk latte from the town of Busca. There are actually 5 ages of Piave. We really only see 2 of them in the United States now. That is Mazzano, which is aged between 60 and 180 days, and the Vecchio, which is aged more than 180 days. Piave is firm and often flaky. It's what I call a forgiving cheese because it is both a table cheese, a cooking cheese, and a grating cheese. Its flavor is slightly fruity, intense, but never sharp.